But you go to the surfboard industry, those guys aren't like having to have these conversations. I think it's only in the gun world. How did we get to this point?
We got to this point because YouTubers have lied for a long time. And slowly, as these people have gotten bigger and more popular, some of these bad actors slipped up, made some mistakes, got called out for it. You know, some people got fired and then started posting behind the scenes stuff, which is how I've come into possession of numbers, dates, and names, let's say, from some of these people who lied to their fans for decades and sold a lot of subpar products because of it, that again, in the firearms industry at least, were potentially selling life-saving devices. So maybe we should take ourselves a little bit more seriously. All right, moving on, back to the video.
I think that everybody in our industry is very, like Anthony said, some people are very, very, very easy to get them angry at you. They're very emotional. They're very touchy.
It is Pride Month, so we can celebrate all of these little pencil-necked men going, "Oh, you didn't tell me that you got that Ruger for free. I'm mad."
Those in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. That's what I have to say to that. But also, maybe they should be mad that you lied to them in a video. Did you ever think about that? Let's listen to that again, because I think that was quite illuminating.
They're very emotional. They're very touchy.
It is Pride Month, so we can celebrate all of these little pencil-necked men going, "Oh, you didn't tell me that you got that Ruger for free. I'm mad. You're a paid shill."
I think part of it is where the country's evolved to as well. Like you can't really. People are very weak now as far as hearing negative responses to what they think is their best effort. You know, like, hey kid, you.
Ooh, let's see how ironic that statement becomes, because this is my response to your best effort. So let's see how that statement holds up, shall we?
You suck at baseball, go sit down. It's not like that anymore. It's like, oh, you get a trophy because you went 0 for 75 this year. Good job. Can't wait to see you next year. And it's just permeated through everything, and it's in the firearm industry as well. Like, what company?
So then you admit it. It's in the firearm industry as well. And then like at the same time, you're like, people saying that we're paid shills is bad. They definitely exist, but if you point it out, it's bad. You can't have it both ways.
Wants to hear that something they put millions of dollars of R&D in sucks, and none. And you know, if you are too hard on them, then they're going to remember, which is fine, because if the product sucks that bad, people need to know about it.
He keeps saying both things. He keeps saying the one side and then the other side, and then pretending that his statement is congruent. Let's just move on. Oh, I muted it. I bet. Pull back 1 second. There we go. Let it play.
Both of y'all both do hard commercials.
Mm-hmm. I think you have to. I mean, the FCC requires it pretty much. You have to put that little, you know, this video contains an ad. You're supposed to. Some people don't all the time, but in the absence of that, you have to make. Video contains an ad. You're supposed to. Some people don't all the time, but in the absence of that, you have to make it obvious that you are, you know, taking a sponsorship, taking money, or it's an ad. You know, more people probably should do it.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. He admits it right there. He says, you know, more people probably should, looking away from the camera as he says, like, you have to do this. You have to do this. You have to do this. More people probably should.
Than they do.
Yeah, I think we went through that. Like, they should every single time. Otherwise, it is an actual, you know, violation. And it's also immoral as well. More importantly than
why is it
a morality. Go back just a second. Yes, much more important than just being legally being morally correct, in my opinion.
Why is it that in our industry specifically, there's this narrative that goes around about people, you know, in the gun industry having sponsors, and you don't see that in
we've covered this a lot, but yes, it's the narrative exists because it's real. This isn't something that Joe Schmo randomly decided to make up one day. He's like, you know what? I wonder if these YouTubers are getting paid on the side. They are, right? This is a real thing. This isn't manufactured. This isn't fake. It is a real thing, and people are just now getting more into calling it out. They're actually catching up to other industries, which, again, we'll do a little bit more of a breakdown just a little bit later on with some other genres that hold themselves to higher standards.
Any other social media industry, you don't see it in makeup, you don't see it in finance YouTube channels, you don't see it in anything like that. And I think really it is, in my personal opinion, it's because the firearms industry in its own right is a very, for lack of a better word, old industry.
I think that in some ways he's correct there. So the firearms industry, like the actual industries, the actual big companies, are old. They've been around. Let me back up so I can get this thought out. The firearm industry has been around for a long time. It hasn't adapted perfectly to the modern digital age. There is definitely truth to that. The biggest issue in this industry versus others is, I think that legitimately, I think most of us in the industry are a more moral stock than in other industries that are a little bit less serious, let's say. So I think that in the 2A space in general, of course not everybody, but let's say in the video game space, you're going to get just your basic mix of gamers, right? Left, right, center, degenerate based, whatever it happens to be. In the gun industry in general, I think it tends to be a little bit more conservative, a little bit more traditionally moral. And that ends up being a little bit more high trust. Now, because of that high trust, unfortunately, we're able to be taken advantage of a little bit easier. And so this is where bad actors come in, and they can exist for a long time before they get called out. And we see this not only in like the front-facing media, but also within companies as well. You can look at like the NRA and all the corruption going on inside of there. You can, various companies out there that are now starting to get called out for some of their old political donations and new political donations as well, because it turns out that we actually can't trust all of these people or companies. In fact, I would go so far as to say we should basically never trust any company. My perspective on reviews has definitely changed over the years, something that we'll get into in a future point in time when we actually discuss like real standards that Focus Trip Me is going to be holding to in the future. But yeah, I think we're a high trust group that tends to be taken advantage of. It works out really well when there's a lot of good actors. Unfortunately, the more bad actors there are, the less trusting we have to be.
I think the harsh truth is we have watched guys give reviews. They got paid to do them, and they do positive reviews for money, and they don't tell anybody, and they end up selling guns. I think that
we agree. Fantastic. Show's over. Great. We spent all of this time saying that, people really need to be nice and not call us out for being paid shills. And then like just a minute or two later, he's like, actually, I think the harsh truth is that exactly what they've been saying has been happening for a long time. You can't have it both ways. You're hedging your bets so hard that at the same time, you're actually holding two opposing beliefs.
that's the bottom line. I think we have a history in this, and I'm a capitalist.
Okay, well, let's try and separate those two sentences. So,
end up selling guns. I think that's the bottom line. I think we have a history in this,
we have a history in this, trails off and then moves into another thought. But we have a history in this industry of people lying, taking money, getting paid, giving positive reviews, and selling bad products. Because here's the truth. Positive reviews sell bad products, by and large, generally true. If I give a good product a harsh review, super harsh, I will sell a good product at the end of the day, not a bad product. Because if you have a mediocre product and you don't point out any of its flaws, it's a very positive video, everybody's going to buy it, of course. But if you give a very good product and point out every single one of its flaws so that everybody knows what it's good at, what it's bad at, pros and cons, all that sort of fun stuff, people are going to be much more discerning and much more equipped to make a real buying decision, not be like, oh, I guess that product's perfect, I should buy, and that guy's making 10% on every sale? He didn't tell me that. That sucks. I guess I'm now a little bit mad.